Fast Forward Productions. The women are speaking.
So in this way of Team AP product diversification, I like to recommend that you have 3 really strong passive offerings. These can be less than $50. These can be 10. These can be 20. Later in this episode, I'm going to tell you a way that you can make passive offerings without doing any extra work. Very easy. You're going to love it. Hi guys, welcome back to The Unfiltered Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Ashley Pollard. And today we are talking about deciding what kind of business you want. Now, there are a million ways to grow a business. I'm not going to sit here and act like there's 2. There's many. However, I do always try to lead off conversations when I'm consulting with what type of business you are wanting, a volume business or a niche business. Now, neither of these indicate revenue. You can make millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. You can make great money with a volume business. You can make great money with a niche business. I'm going to give you an example of both in a service provider space, but also in a product differentiation. That way you can kind of also relate it to a different industry and understand that a little bit better. Now, the difference here, when I say volume, people tend to think that I mean high revenue. But that's not true. A volume business is high quantity, and a niche business is low quantity. Now, typically, what you are doing with a volume business is you are spreading it wide with a little bit of money per person. So you have not as deep relationships with people, or maybe the service isn't very deep, but it's a lot of people at one time, spread out over a lot of people over your life or over your career. That's a volume business. A niche business is a little bit more deep and probably more expensive per purchase. You might see that as a 12-month container one-on-one versus a membership, which might be more volume. So one way to kind of think about it is a puddle versus a well. Now, a niche business, you are building a well. It's a tighter space and it's very deep. So there might be the same amount of water in a well versus a puddle, but it's just a deeper relationship. Now, when I say puddle, I don't mean like a thin, teeny tiny little puddle. I mean one of those puddles that just like range really far, where there's like a small gathering of water, but it spans out. You're going to have quicker bites with more people. Now, that could mean a membership with 200 people where they are recurring over and again. So the quantity of repurchases throughout the year, you might have 10,000 transactions, whereas if somebody signs 3-year-long clients, they'll only have 36 transactions, 3 people, 12 months per year. Another way to think about a volume business is if you have a price aversion. If you have a price aversion, if people are sensitive to purchasing, if they are sensitive to price, if you're working with a new entrepreneur or someone who's very budget conscious, make sure to read back to the blog or tune into the past podcast where I talked about pockets, budgets versus banks. If you are working with a quote unquote pockets client, somebody who is paying out of pocket, not out of their business for a service, volume may be the way that you go. Now, volume could look like a group program. It could look like live workshops, live master classes. It could look like a membership is the other one, a subscription model. It also could look like a robust download or passive shop where everything's, let's say, $50 or less, $100 or less, probably 50. That way you can really churn through many purchases where they can buy different things from the shop over and over again. A product experience with a volume business might be Forever 21. Now, there's no problem in comparing yourself to Forever 21. We're not getting into the ethics of the creation of the products. We're not getting into manufacturing ethics. We're not getting into that. We're more so thinking if you have $10,000 to spend, that gets you a lot more at Forever 21 in terms of volume. You get more products at Forever 21. Now, in a niche business is where you're going to have a deeper relationship with that client, a deeper understanding of them. Brand is more important. I would say it's equally important, but it's a little bit more important. That relationship building is important. You can say, I want to solve a specific problem and I want to get paid a lot of money to do so. I want to take less clients. Maybe it's more high touch. Maybe it takes longer to close or longer to sell, but there's an opportunity there for you to make $10,000, $20,000 per client and taking on 2 clients a month, 1 client a month, 3 clients a month, something of that effect. So with this niche business, the most important thing for you to think about is how can you elevate? You really have to be dedicated to the long-term vision, but you also need to make sure that all of your ducks are in a row for an expensive client. What that means is consistently showing that you use innovative high-tech software. You always want to be showing that you're at the forefront of new ideas, that you've seen risks, that you've pioneered pay off. With a really expensive investment, you also really want to make sure your messaging is perfect. Your positioning is very clear. Your photography shows trust and authority immediately. That doesn't always mean a blazer and a martini glass. There's other ways that your photography can show authority immediately. Now, with a niche business, if we wanted to relay that to something a little bit in the product space, some people might say, okay, like a Louis Vuitton, like an Hermes. But the interesting thing about Louis Vuitton is that they run a volume business. Their goal there is more purchases. Like they want as many purchases. That's why their prices are affordable for luxury. Louis Vuitton is a volume business. They're an expensive volume business, but their goal is how many people, how intimately can we get that? When you think of a niche business, you almost want to think of like a couture house. And a couture house in the fashion industry means that things are made custom for the person. Think of something like an Oscar de la Renta couture house or a Carolina Herrera. Now, I doubt many of you listening have a Carolina Herrera dress, because if you have a Carolina Herrera dress, you probably spent $25,000 on it. It was custom suited to your body. You had some alterations that you requested or changes being made to the garment, and you were involved in that design process. Now, not everybody needs that level, but luxury is not a niche business. Luxury, if everybody can buy in, if you could save up the money and go buy something, that's still a volume business. Their goal is many items. Where a niche business may be invite only. It may be something only few people participate in. It's an if you know kind of crowd. So that's something that you want to think about with a niche business. Now, in my opinion, the Team AP way is very different than other people in the online space who very much want you to choose. Are we a volume business or a niche business? The Team AP way is not one that everybody agrees with, but it shows me the most success. It helps me mitigate risk at the highest degree, and it really helps my clients feel confident going into their sales periods because they do things our way. Our way is to diversify your product suite as much as possible so that you have volume options and niche options. This allows you to do a few things. One, it helps you target those price averse or budget conscious clients. Perfectly fair if somebody doesn't have a lot of money, or if you have only really seen people who make a little bit of money. For instance, I have a client in the doers. All of her friends are teachers and she lives in a rural town and they don't make a lot of money. Her friends make $25,000, $30,000, $35,000 a year. And where they're from, that does go a little bit further than if you are in, let's say, like, New York City. But for her, she thinks nobody's going to buy this product. Who has the money for that? Whereas someone in New York, where they go out to dinner and spend $200 every time they go to dinner, they think, oh, a $200 product. Who cares about that? It's dinner. So where you are and what you're surrounded by can impact how you think about the offers that you're presenting. And I don't want your surroundings to tell you the type of clients you're going to attract. In the internet, you can reach people in Cambodia to Paris to San Francisco, all the way to that rural town where your friend is from. So in this way of Team AP product diversification, I like to recommend that you have 3 really strong passive offerings. These can be less than $50. These can be 10. These can be 20. Later in this episode, I'm going to tell you a way that you can make passive offerings without doing any extra work. Very easy. You're going to love it. The second thing I like to implement is a few templated or one-to-many offerings. These templated or one-to-many offerings are things where you can do one job for a lot of different people. A really great example of this is a VIP day. When I was doing VIP days, I basically said, we're going to cover these 5 topics, or you can book one of these 5 topics individually for a call. Now, when we walked through these 5 topics, we used the same workbook template. We did step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. It was customized to the client, but we followed this templated format. Another idea with templated opportunities is to think about a one-to-many offering. One-to-many is basically you are the one person doing one job, but many people are present. This might be membership, it might be subscription, or it might be group program, mastermind, et cetera, et cetera. So if you were to have a group program where 10 people are spending $350 a month, now you have $3,500 coming in every single month, but you're performing that one job to many. That's one thing to think about. And then finally, I always like to include 3 custom or high touch offerings. So with those custom high touch offerings, is there a world in which you can offer very expensive niche opportunities that only few people are going to buy into? This is not a volume game. This is not a volume business. When you are offering these niche custom offerings, the goal is like 1 per year, 2 per year, maybe 3 per year. That might mean a retainer that's very expensive. That might mean like a custom project that's very expensive. The difference of this might be like brand and web design, where you do the branding process and you do the website process, which is templated, not custom and niche. It might be custom work, but you're following a templated process, versus someone coming in and having you as their website updater or their graphic designer who also does a lot with the website. That's way more custom than that custom brand and web project. In essence, what this gets you in the future is an opportunity to sell $10, period, just $10 option, all the way up to $10,000 per month. If someone comes your way, you can then say, I've got something for you. Go over here, download this, do this thing. It's a way for everybody to be able to say yes. And if you're having a hard time making money, you're going to want something passive, want something templated, want something lower priced so that you can play that volume game. If you need a cash injection of $2,500 immediately, it's very hard to find a $2,500 per month client that signs within 4 weeks. Instead, can you make $2,500 from 10 people buying a $250 per product? Can you get X amount of people to buy at X amount of price because this is the dollar amount that you need? This is a way for you to really open up yourself to yeses across the board. Is it more work? Absolutely. But I want to tell you a way that you can actually make passive options in your business super easily. I'm not selling anything. I'm telling you how to do this. I like to call this Beyonceing the process, because our queen Beyonce does no wrong. When she performed Homecoming, the incredible event that we all saw at Coachella, she was performing a live performance. There were people there live, present, experiencing that, seeing it in all its glory. And what she did with that was actually record the whole experience, sell it to Netflix. And now we have the absolute luxury of watching Beyonce perform the Homecoming thing like I watch every single fucking week of my life. We get to watch that Homecoming performance as a passive offer. She's not performing that every time I watch it every single week, like religiously. She performed something live and turned it into passive. How can you Beyonce the process? Let's say you perform a masterclass. Let's call it perform. Let's say you perform a masterclass and 10 people come. Can you take that recording and set it up as a paid product on your site? The same recording. If you do something or walk through an SOP with a client, can you write this SOP with a client, but also SOP a template of that process and give that as a freebie on your website? There's almost nothing in your business that you should be making from scratch that's passive if you are doing active work. Now, I don't mean giveaway strategy that's custom to a client. I don't mean giveaway proprietary things that you're not comfortable with. You want to make sure that you're maintaining a level of privacy with your clients and that you're maintaining a level of proprietary practices within your business that people have to pay in for. That's fine. But if you took a look at the work that you did with clients, if you took a look at the work that you do in a one-to-many capacity, there's something there that you can dilute down into a template and give it for free on your website, sell it for $10, $50, $100. It's a way for you to templatize your process and offer a passive offering. The last thing I'm going to tell you is that nobody can spend a lot of money with you if you don't have a way for them to spend a lot of money. For instance, there's somebody in the doers who has what she thinks is a price averse audience when really the people following her are really only the people that she knows personally. And as she expands her business, she wants to make sure that there are people who are as price averse as the people in her community who are a bit budget conscious. That's fair. We all know people who are super budget conscious. She happens to be in a community of family, friends, etc., who are quite budget conscious people. Fair. Great to know. Really strong self-awareness. Now, she said to me something along the lines of like, everybody I work with isn't going to have a ton of money. Like, no one's going to pay me a lot of money. So what I challenged her to do is to put an offer on her website that is very expensive. Maybe very expensive for her is $1,000. Maybe very expensive for you is $100,000. Whatever that looks like, what you're going to do today, tomorrow, is share on social media, in your email, on your website, or pick one that you offer a service that is your dream service. Maybe that means that we have 2 calls per week. We do these different exercises. These kinds of resources are available. This is the kind of work that we're doing. And yeah, I hate to say it, it's $10,000 a month. It's $5,000 total. It's $2,000 a month. Whatever the big price is, put that out into the world. Nobody can buy an expensive offer from you if you don't offer an expensive offer. If you're not sure what the pricing would be, because maybe there's a lot of moving parts. Maybe you're like, I don't know the price of this. 1, come into the doors and I can definitely tell you. But 2, what you can think about there is adding a button that says inquire for pricing. Price depends on variables. Price starts at X dollars, but depends on variables. That way you will have an opportunity to make some money. And maybe people don't buy it, but seeing an expensive offer on someone's website or in their service suite can help justify a lower price service. Oh my gosh, I'm not really interested in spending $100 a month on that membership. It's different than, wait, she charges $30,000 for her services? I can't believe I get to do this for $100 a month. That's the shift that you may see. You also may see clients buying in your expensive offer, which is very exciting. So when you are thinking, do I have a volume business? Do I have a niche business? Feel free to select only one. My way would be to do a little bit of both and to make sure that's super customized to you. The reason for that is because then anyone who comes in your space, you do have an opportunity for them to say yes, like regardless of budget, regardless of where they are in their business. But also this allows you the opportunity to make money somewhere that you maybe thought it might be too hard, but you just have to templatize the work, or you thought no one's going to buy it because it's too expensive. Let's just try, guys. That's that. I hope this made you think a little bit. I hope this opened up your eyes to different ways that you can view your product suite and pricing and ways that you are, developing your business. I really love talking about product suite. I could talk about it all day long. I'll stop for now. It's great seeing you, and I'll catch you on the next episode.